Picture this. You wake up in the late Jurassic period, roughly 150 million years ago. The year is, well, there are no years yet because humans haven't invented anxiety about time management. You stretch your magnificent 30-foot neck, which, fun fact, contains the same number of vertebrae as a human neck, just slightly more substantial. You are a Brachiosaurus. Congratulations. You're basically a giraffe that hit the gym for 50 million years and developed commitment issues with ground-level food. Your day begins like any other apex herbivore, by eating. Not because you're particularly hungry, mind you, but because maintaining your 50-ton body requires the nutritional equivalent of consuming a small forest daily. You casually lift your head 40 feet into the air, because why settle for shrubs when you can have premium treetop dining? A nearby Stegosaurus looks up at you with what can only be described as pure unbridled envy. Show off. You don't respond. Not because you're rude, but because your brain is roughly the size of a walnut, which we all know is very big. Not really. Most of your cognitive processing power is dedicated to the complex task of chew tree, don't fall over. You encounter your herd, because yes, despite weighing more than a modern fire truck, you're surprisingly social. Scientists believe Brachiosaurus traveled in groups, probably for protection, though honestly, what predator looks at a 50-ton walking skyscraper and thinks, yeah, I'll take my chances? The group dynamic is essentially a prehistoric homeowners association, but instead of arguing about lawn maintenance, you're all just trying not to accidentally step on each other. One misplaced foot and suddenly Gerald becomes the late Jurassic's first dinosaur pancake. Time to migrate to the next feeding ground. You move at a brisk pace of approximately 12 miles per hour, which for a 50-ton creature is basically sprinting, if sprinting involved the ground shaking and small animals evacuating a 3-mile radius. Your footsteps create small earthquakes, not metaphorically, literally. Each step registers as a minor seismic event. A small Jeremiah, one of the earliest placental mammals, scurries between your feet. It's about the size of a shrew, with tiny claws perfect for climbing trees, and represents the future evolutionary lineage that will eventually produce Shakespeare, nuclear physics, and pineapple pizza. You don't know this, of course. You just see a tiny, weird-looking thing and think, not food, before returning to your regularly scheduled tree consumption. For lunch, it's just more eating, obviously. Your digestive system is essentially a biological processing plant that converts trees into dinosaur. You consume roughly 880 pounds of plant matter daily, which sounds excessive until you realize you're literally a living, breathing apartment building that happens to be hungry. Your sauropod digestive system includes gastroliths, which are stones you've swallowed to help grind up plant material in your stomach. Essentially, you've invented the prehistoric equivalent of a food processor, except it's inside you and occasionally makes concerning grinding noises. An Allosaurus appears on the horizon. At 28 feet long, it's certainly impressive if you were a Stegosaurus. To you, it's basically an angry chicken with commitment issues. The Allosaurus takes one look at your massive frame, does some quick prehistoric math, and decides that maybe today isn't the day for ambition. I'll just go find a nice Camptosaurus instead. You continue eating, blissfully unaware that you've just participated in the Jurassic equivalent of a Mexican standoff. Time for a drink, which means wading into the nearest body of water. Contrary to what old movies suggested, you don't live in swamps. You're a terrestrial creature. But when you weigh as much as a modern tank, sometimes you need the buoyancy assistance. The water displacement when you enter creates what marine biologists would eventually term a significant aquatic event. It's basically when several fish experience existential crises as a group of oversized dinosaur feet destroys their homes. As the sun sets over the Jurassic landscape, you reflect on your day. Or you would if your walnut-sized brain was capable of deep thoughts. Instead, you continue the eternal sauropod cycle. Eat, walk, don't die, repeat. Your heart, roughly the size of a small car, pumps 15 gallons of blood per beat just to get circulation to your brain 4 stories above. Evolution really said, let's see how complicated we can make basic circulation, and you're the result. When you sleep, you don't exactly lie down. Doing so would be a logistical nightmare involving cranes that won't be invented for another 150 million years. Instead, you enter a state of restful standing, like a biological monument to the concept of making it work. Tomorrow, you'll wake up and do it all again, living your best life as nature's most successful experiment in vertical architecture with a pulse. 50 tons of peaceful herbivore, living proof that sometimes the biggest creatures have the most chill attitudes. After all, when you're literally too big to fail, every day is a good day. Now quickly, before the oversized giraffe finds me, like and subscribe.